The Ramones didn't just change music, they redefined identity. With leather jackets, ripped jeans, and blitzkrieg speed songs, they stormed onto the New York scene in the 1970s and created the blueprint for punk rock. But long before they became legends of the underground, they needed something every band craves: a name that sticks. What they chose was unexpected, simple, and strangely connected to one of the most famous musicians of all time, Paul McCartney. The story begins in Forest Hills, Queens, where a few misfit kids bonded over their love of 1960s rock and roll, comic books, and outsider culture. When they decided to form a band in 1974, the idea was to play fast, loud, and raw, no frills, no solos, just attitude. The only problem was they didn't have a name. Douglas Colvin, who would later become known as D.D. Ramone, was fascinated with the Beatles, especially Paul McCartney. He came across a little-known fact. When McCartney checked into hotels during the early Beatlemania years, he used the alias Paul Ramon to stay anonymous. Dee loved the name simplicity and edge. It sounded like something offbeat and underground. He started calling himself D.D. Ramone. The idea quickly caught on. Jeffrey Hyman became Joey Ramone. John Cummings took on Johnny Ramone. And Thomas Erdelyi, their soon-to-be drummer and the only one who knew how to play an instrument at the start, became Tommy Ramone. None of them were related, but the shared last name gave them a gang-like identity. The Ramones weren't just a band, they were a brotherhood. The name Ramones carried that mix of rebellion and nostalgia that defined their sound. It hinted at rock history while standing defiantly against everything bloated and overproduced in the 1970s music scene. The name was short, punchy, and easy to scrawl on a leather jacket. Just like their songs, its debut gig at CBGB in August 1974 introduced a new kind of band, barely 2 minutes per song, no frills, just relentless energy. And from that night forward, the name Ramones would become synonymous with the rawest, purest form of punk rock. Their logo, inspired by the presidential seal and customized with baseball bats and apples, helped immortalize the name. It was as if the Ramones were declaring themselves the official ambassadors of punk. The irony that a Beatles reference helped launch the anti-Beatles of the punk world wasn't lost on anyone, but it also proved how much the Ramones respected rock's past. Even as they tore it down, they weren't trying to erase rock and roll, they were bringing it back to its primal, urgent roots. Over time, Ramone became more than a stage name, it became a way of life. The band kept the tradition alive with every lineup change. Even replacements like Marky Ramone, Richie Ramone, and C.J. Ramone adopted the surname, carrying the legacy forward. By the time the Ramones retired in 1996, they had changed music forever. Bands like the Sex Pistols, The Clash, Green Day, and Nirvana all credited them as foundational influences. And it all started with the Beatles' Alias and a clever rebranding of a group of friends into a family of punks. Today, the Ramones name is instantly recognizable worldwide. It's printed on t-shirts, emblazoned on posters, and stamped in the DNA of rock music. It's a symbol of unity, simplicity, and defiance, a reminder that sometimes the most powerful identities are the ones we choose for ourselves.